Welcome to SolidCAM Professor. I'm Sydney, your SolidCAM Professor, with one of many videos available to you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. In this recording, we'll illustrate the use of SolidCAM 3D milling for machining of the mold core as shown on our screen. First, we'll start off by removing the bulk of the material around the part itself by using the 3D roughing cut. If I were to go into my operation, you'll see that we'll be using a 20 millimeter end mill. And if I go into my technology, you'll see that we'll be doing a rough cut using the contour option. We'll be going down every 5 millimeters and leaving 1 millimeter offset on the part for our finished cuts. If we take a quick look at our simulation, you'll see that the tool works from the outside, doing a constant Z contour cut, clearing off all the material and stepping down every 5 millimeters. But there's still plenty of material left to do a rest roughing machining on the part itself to get into areas where this particular tool may not have gotten into, and also to lessen the size of these steps over here. Now in the next operation, we'll be doing the rest rough on the part itself. We'll be using the exact same strategy of roughing, this time going down 2 millimeters, leaving a 0.5 millimeter of material for the finish. But let's go into the tool for a moment. You'll see we'll be using now a 16 millimeter end mill. And if I go into my geometry area, my working area, you'll note that we have the option of cut only the rest material checked off. This will allow me to cut only in the areas where there's material to be taken off, such as material that was left over by the previous operation. Taking a look at the simulation itself, you'll see that the tool will work only on those areas, making for smaller steps in this area over here, as well as smaller steps inside here, and taking off the excess material inside here where the previous tool could not go in. Next, we'll start with our finishing cuts by first machining the steep areas, such as these walls over here and inside over here as well. For that, we'll be using the constant Z option inside 3D milling. The tool in this particular case will be a 10 millimeter ball end mill. Going back to geometry for a moment and going into the working area, you see that we'll be working on specific faces. If I were to click on to show, you can see that these are the faces that we want to work on. And I've also limited it to work anywhere between 30 and 90 degrees. So even though these faces were picked, the end mill will not work on those surfaces. In addition, we've had check faces, but check faces, I do not want it to touch these surfaces, but not only do I not want to touch them, I gave it a 0.1 millimeter offset to make sure that it does not touch any of those surfaces. Going into my technology, you can see I'm using the constant Z option, and in my data, you can see the scallop that I'm using for finishing off the part. Taking a quick look at the simulation, you'll see that the tool goes down, machines out this entire wall over here, and since I gave it a very small scallop, it will give a very, very good and clean surface finish on the part itself. This is done on the outside as well as on the walls inside. Now, in my next operation, I'd like to work on the shallower areas, such as these radiuses here on top, as well as these floors over here. So for that, we've used the option in 3D milling of constant step over. The tool will again be the 10 millimeter ball and mill. In my geometry, again, I'll use the work on selected faces, the same faces I had before, but this time I limited it between 0 and 30 degrees. This way, it'll work on the shallower areas of the part itself. Taking a look at the simulation, you'll see that the tool works around the top edges this time until it reaches the 30 degrees of that area itself, and then goes down to working on that floor, finishing up this floor, and then later on finishing up that floor, as well as this radius will also be finished in this operation. Now, to finish off these areas over here, we've used the option of linear inside my 3D milling operation. If I were to go into the operation itself, let's first look at the working area. This time you'll see that the working area that we want to work on are these floors, and the check faces are the faces that we worked on before. And again, from the check faces, we'll be staying away 0.1 millimeters. Taking a quick look at the simulation, you'll see that the tool now is working across the part using linear cuts to finish off the part itself. For more videos on SolidCAM Professor, please go to our website, www.solidcam.com, and look for the tab called SolidCAM Professor. Thank you for joining us on SolidCAM Professor. Take care and have a nice day.